All right, here we are. You know that feeling when something's off, but you can't quite explain it? You push through, thinking that maybe you just need more discipline, more drive, when really something deeper is out of sync. Welcome to the Daily Reframe, where we slow down and get honest about what's actually stuck, not just what's loudest, most urgent, or demanding our attention. I'm Jordan. Each day this week, you'll watch a real clarity session unfold in real time. No prep, no script, just a conversation that starts with what's real and often lands on something we didn't even know was there. This isn't coaching. It's not a strategy session. It's calibration for when you know something's off, but haven't had the space to say it out loud. We'll get into it in just a second with Celeste here. But as a reminder, these next couple of days, I have some time open in my schedule that I have opened up for these reframe sessions. We're doing it in public with Celeste. We would do yours privately. So if you book using that link in the description, yours will be completely private. We'll spend an hour together and we can just unpack what's going on, where you're feeling resistance. Or just uncertainty. If there's something that just feels a little off and you need to talk through it and need a listening ear, I'm here for you. So, good morning, Celeste. How are you doing?
Good, good morning. I'm doing well. Still can't find the event. I
Facebook
was
and
like, for
live
sure
stream.
gonna do it.
Yeah. If you're looking for each daily reframe on
Yeah,
Facebook, good luck because Facebook is Facebook. But I am trying to collect them in the event. So if you search events for daily reframe, you can at least watch the
right.
replays, even if the live streams don't end up there.
I mean,
Um,
you would think that
it's
because
Facebook.
I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to press buttons, but for the life of me, I cannot find that event in the 1 minute I have.
Facebook,
Anyways, it's fine.
yeah, Facebook does not make it easy. But speaking of Facebook, you and I are
Yes,
going to talk about some Facebook stuff today.
let's
It's
do it.
no secret for anyone following me for a while that I am not very Facebook positive, and yet um, keep coming back to it because it's where people gather and it's where people know how to gather.
Yeah.
Even with the confusion, there's just enough of that dopamine and everything that keeps us pushing buttons, right? So, you have a Facebook group,
I
Celeste,
do. Yes, I do. And that was how the Soul Sister project started, was a Facebook group, and it's still there. Yep.
and it was kinda dead not too long
It
ago.
it might still be a little dead. It's got a little breath back to it, but not much. And it was only because of Jordan. And so I'm so thankful for that. Yeah,
Yep, we got some
absolutely.
people reactivated in there surrounding, this relaunch of the Soul Sister project, the Soul Sister reboot that we did together, um,
Yeah.
and got some people chatting, but that this question is kind of hanging in the air. Is the Soul Sister marketplace gonna continue being a thing? Is it gonna look different? Is a different free Facebook group? How are you
Yeah.
feeling about that whole question?
I've had a vision for the Facebook group for a while. It just hasn't launched in the way that I thought it would. Maybe haven't put much effort into it either. So like I'll just be, completely honest. And I will say too that I didn't know what to do with it. I mean, seriously, I've archived it. I've tried to delete it and just it wouldn't happen. I've tried to give it away. I have tried to do everything but to lean in. And I will tell you too that I've learned that anything that I'm like skirting around is the exact thing that I need to be like look at. It doesn't mean I have to focus on it the rest of my life or anything like that. Usually there's a way out as soon as I've like got the idea, and it's not a way out, but a way
To move.
to roll the commitment on to someone else. Right? So, I will say, Jordan, your heart is for community, and it's not that mine's not. It's just that's not what I go to when I think of um building a business. I'm a visionary. I It was really great at, oh gosh, I'm all over the place. At Scale with Stability, Karen got up and she talked about the different positions in the company and the operational part of it. And she even touched on CEO, and that CEO stays in the visionary spot, and that you delegate down. And it's not that you're delegating down because of superiority, it's because those are your gifts. And I was like, thank you. Thank you for that permission. And so it it takes that shame off. We talked about that yesterday too, to have to implement everything when you're the visionary. You like feel that you have to implement, and that's not my gift. For the Soul Sister project, that was my gift at first, was the implementation, but it was really, honestly, it was just teaching others how to utilize the platform in a way to help them grow. And that's what I still see the vision for. We've talked about the Soul Sister Project coming back 5 years later, and it was like, I gave you everything 5 years ago. You just didn't see it. You were trying to, like, there was an overcomplication of it. There was a lot that had to be sloughed off. Like, we had to do some deliverance there. But with the Facebook group, it feels like there's a full circle moment coming, where the marketplace is for the women inside the actual Soul Sister Project membership to come in. You can invite your people, like, it's whatever, however you want to do it. We'll invite others to come and join too. And they can have like takeover days, and
Mm.
there's some big visions there, Soul Sister Mike nights, and things like that. It's just, have I put it together on paper? No. I sure haven't. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
Yeah. So big visions looks like the Soul Sister marketplace is one of the first questions I was going to ask you, and what that was in my mind is it the Soul Sister marketplace? Is this
Yeah.
existing group the group?
Yes, it is the group. I do not have any plans on launching anything, or I mean, even like shutting that down and launching another one. No. God
Beautiful.
wouldn't let me. And so I
Yeah.
have to trust that too, that is just like, it's there for a reason. It might be a little dormant. It's still breathing, it's hibernating. It's starting to wake up a little bit. And so yeah, I have to trust that that's it. That's where it began. That's where it's gonna stay. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. Because I know that I can get all up in my head with data and looking at the data, and it's like, well, if these people are dormant, then that could hurt my algorithm, and the group will be less active overall. A smaller group would be more active, and just overthinking all of that. And when you just say, you know what, this is it, and God has made it clear that this is it. It flows to stay here. That's perfect. And you don't have to get all up in your head with the knowledge of the strategy and all those
Yeah.
things. When you know in your knower, okay, this is
Yeah.
it, then you can take that next step. This is a perfect example. So thank you for doing this in public. This is a perfect example of an ideal reframe, because it's something but there's still something there that's missing. There's a gap.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's a timing thing. So that's my next question for you um, is now the time to do something,
Yeah.
anything, to take a step with the Soul Sister Marketplace free Facebook group?
Yes. Yes, it is. And I want to touch on metrics and algorithm and all that stuff.
Mhm.
Okay. So I had two viral videos at the same time on all three platforms 2 years ago in May of 2023. And it was about to the day of the Soul Sister reboot. And my following blew up overnight. I went from, like 2,000, maybe, not even, maybe 1,500 even, friends, followers, right? That's what the number
Mhm.
said, up to 18,000. And it happened over about a 10-day period, which is, I, I was like, oh, thank you, Lord, for the floodgates. And I was open, I was building this other business, and it wasn't the Soul Sister Project. things like that. And everything fell apart in the same season that I had that mental breakdown, right? And I mean, like, just shut it off. I mean, like, it just closed. And I kept holding on to that, like, it's going to happen again. And I will
Mm.
tell you, it's happening again. No, the floodgates aren't open when it comes to followers, which is fine with me. I wasn't, I'm not looking at the numbers anymore. I used to. I
Mhm.
watched those numbers like a hawk. It was like a dopamine hit in the morning when I'd get up and like, and my Instagram's doing the same thing, but I'm like, well, whatever. Like it'll do whatever it's supposed to. And I don't even understand Instagram. Maybe you can help me with that. But what I'm saying is 2 years in the waiting, and the followers are coming, the friend requests are coming again. I was losing followers more than I was gaining followers for those last 2 years. And I teetered between like the 17,500 mark to the 18,000. And when I hit that 18,000 at one point, I thought, oh, this is it. And the next day it was like negative 140. Like I lost 140 followers. And I was like, what is going on? I say all of this because I'm not looking at the numbers. I'm not looking at the metrics. I am that alignment. And the same goes for the Soul Sister project. It might feel a little dead when you came in. And I mean, we had this conversation, but it's like you, and I've tried to start new Facebook pages, just FYI. Have they taken off? No, no. He's like, yeah, it's personal. I called you too personal. Same with the Soul Sister Project, which is Soul Sister Marketplace now, because it's not the project part of it is the community, and then the marketplace is where the community comes out, right? So like
Yeah.
we yeah, so we it's that agora, it's the modern agora.
Mhm.
So it's we build them up, we come into community, we in the project it is a project, it's a lifetime kind of thing where you have access to these really great things in the ebbs and flows of life, right? And then the
Mhm.
marketplace is where you get to pour out and share. And yeah, it's just you can look at the numbers, but you know and you're knower. And
Mhm.
and yes. So
Mm.
yes, same group, same thing, but definitely need to get it on paper and get some organization going with that.
Yes.
And trust gut, not numbers. So anyways, yeah.
Yes. I love that you brought in the modern agora. And for the listeners, I will just kind of clarify that for a second here. That word marketplace is the same word as agora, that is my business that backs everything that you see publicly with the Fine Business Community brand and my personal
Yeah.
brand and Jordan Aspen as a speaker. The modern agora is that marketplace. It's the Greek word, and it's that place where people came to hang out and talk about ideas.
Yeah.
And we see it even in the Bible where Paul, the story that always comes to mind first is when Paul stands up and says, I've seen your shrine to an unknown God. Let me tell you about him. That's the agora. That's the marketplace.
Love
Jesus
that.
talked about it too. And when he says, the children in the square sang a dirge and you did not cry, and sang a happy song and you did not laugh. And that's that marketplace. So there's all ages, there's men and women. Um, it's it's not a secular place where religion isn't welcome. It's a faith respecting space, but it's a
Right.
neutral space. It's not like a
Yeah.
temple or a church or a place where people come together and congregate for religious purposes. Um, but you have religious discussions that just crop up because you start talking. So that's the
Yeah.
whole vision behind the modern agora. And it very much overlaps with the Soul Sister marketplace.
It does. It really does. And that was one of those things when we started talking about the Soul Sister reboot and the Soul Sister
Mhm.
marketplace and how you could maybe come in and help with that. And it was like it was that convergence. I talk about
Mhm.
that too, where we're like pioneering and we're making the way. And then all of a sudden you have this path that converges. right? And you get to do it together. And if it's for a lifetime, great. If it's for a season, great. But it's a really great way to come together and make life a little easier, right? To lift that burden a
Mhm.
little bit. And so that's what happened. And Jordan, you have such a gift for community. You really truly do. And so it your presence in the marketplace did breathe new life on that Facebook group. And I laugh about it because I think, oh man, he gave me such a gift. And the women that are coming into the Soul Sister project, such a gift and such a vision for it that I'm just like, I guess I've been sleeping on it too. So yeah,
Well, timing. Timing is
it is
everything.
timing. Yep.
As with scale of stability and the contacts you made there was that jump of people
Yeah.
joining because they knew you.
Well, I felt like I
Um,
got the paddles on me too,
yes.
at Arkansas. Like I was like I got a jolt. Like I was
Mhm.
starting to like really I don't think I can go any further. I think and I did. I got that paddle, that defibrillator
Mhm.
and it was I needed it. I needed my heart started back for the Soul Sister project because I was like, I'm done with it. Like, I can't keep holding this vision. I can't keep holding it. And I am the SOLE. Like I am the soul. SOLE sister. Like, I can't do it because it hurts. Because I told you about the sisterhood stuff. And so
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I go deep. I'm
It's
sorry, Jordan. I know we're
it's
talking Facebook groups.
amazing. It's no, that this is perfect because, yeah, that calling so often I mean, sometimes it flows out of hurts, but the more I actually talk with people through these reframes and things like this, the more I see that it's not even so much that it comes out of trauma and it's a reactive thing, but that the
No.
trauma came because it's a
Responsibility.
part of the calling. Not that the trauma is a part of
Yes.
the calling, but that you have this calling and so it's attacked.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, but then ultimately, that attack makes it even stronger and solidifies the mission, the vision that you're on and why it's so important. Because it's times of isolation that have made me so passionate about helping people find business community because it's so necessary. I know how necessary it is.
It really truly is, especially for those solopreneurs, right? And the ones that are
Mhm.
forging the way. When you finally release the need to have that control of every step and you start just letting it organically form, it's amazing, but it is also so isolating because it doesn't make sense to you. So therefore, it really doesn't make sense to others. And so
Mhm.
having business community of like-minded people that have walked that path makes all the difference. And there's just really not a lot to choose from. It's like you can find community once you hit that seven-figure mark
Right.
really easily. They're like, "Oh yeah, you're making 7, 8 figures, come on in." But what happens like what is it that it takes to get to that 7 figures and not many people do it? It's that 1%, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's
It's
because and I think a lot of it has to do with that solo
Mhm.
journey.
Yes, exactly. I saw the metaphor suggested somewhere. You know how it is on social media and all of this,
Yeah.
but that people gather to cheer on racers at the beginning and at the finish line, the
Mhm.
starting line and the finish line, and that's not where we need cheering.
No, it's in the
It's
messy
in
middle.
the middle when you're just running and running and running, and the only people around you are the other people running,
Yeah, and there's
but
no
they get it.
no com there's no communing at that point. Everybody's
Mhm.
breathing hard
Yeah.
and doing the thing, and you can't stop
Mhm.
and just, like, get to know someone. There is a there is a bond that is formed
Mhm.
with runners who are running, right? Like, and running next to each other. And but the deep the deep knowing in your knower that you are exactly where you're supposed to be, knowing that you're with like-minded people, comes from actual communion. It comes from actual community.
Yeah.
And it is very isolating because you get in your head, you start running, like, and then you fall back and you're like, and then it's there's shame that comes into that too. Like, there's so
Mhm.
much to that metaphor. There's
Yeah.
so much we could dig into. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it
And
certainly is
so
a marathon.
it is a marathon, and life is a marathon, business is a marathon, and perseverance comes out of that. And it's so rewarding getting to that finish line. But how many quit? How
Yeah.
many get injured and others just run past them because it's a solo
Mhm.
game? Like, what would it look like if, if we had community that was taking care of the runners too as we ran? And it's not about competition, but collaboration. We pick each other up and we link arms, or we go under your, we hold your weight for a little while, kind of
Mhm.
thing. There's a difference in that. And see, that's kingdom to me.
Yeah.
It's not. And sisterhood. Can I tell you one story? I don't know
Yeah.
where we're at in
You're
time.
good.
Okay. Talking about sisterhood. So I have 2 daughters, and it that's just a preface. Okay. So this is pre-2020. We had been at church. No, it was August of 2020, actually. We had been at church. Somebody had passed away at church, and we had just started kind of coming back together, but we wanted to celebrate this life because he was an amazing man. Well, he was also our pastor's like father-in-law. Okay. And somebody needed to be in charge of the meal and letting them in, and that was me, because I was the good doer and the go getter, and things like that. And so, if you need something, you can. Anyways, we'll talk about that later. um I was sitting the day before this funeral. I was sitting at church. We were getting prepared for the meal. We were like putting everything out. I was doing my thing. I was leading, and I'm sure I was doing it from pride, but again, that's another story. So I recognized it was happening again between the women and me, that I was being like isolated, ostracized, and talked about. And unbeknownst to me, I didn't know I was struggling with all of the things that I was struggling with, right? It's a marathon. It's perseverance. It's walking the walk. Um And I remember coming home, and the sun was setting, and I was looking out to the west, and I was watching the sunset. And we live in a very flat part of Texas, except like right down the road is this like, it's really beautiful. And I was looking out, and I'm like, man, it's so beautiful. And then I was talking to God, and I was like, did you see, or did you not, like, what is that? And I don't remember exactly what I was saying, but I'm like, get her. Like, I don't
Mhm.
understand. Why is she being so mean to me? Blah, blah, blah. I was talking to God. And he stopped me. He said, Celeste, she's my daughter too. And he stopped me in my tracks from doing that detrimental thing that we do in sisterhood, where we pick the other apart and we assume that they understand what they're doing,
Mhm.
when in actuality, they don't. Right. And I think that gets lost in community too, is because we assume that they understand and they know how to get, or how to be, or whatever, when it's picking them up, loving on them, walking with them. And those are the kind of things that I have the vision for the marketplace, is that you don't have to be having been online for, I don't even know how many years I've been online, and practicing the speaking and practicing showing up. And you don't have to show up with full makeup, like those, you know what I mean? Like, we don't assume, we just walk with you. We just
Mhm.
pick you up if you're limping, kind of thing. That is the marketplace. Let me help you see how to utilize it your way, not mine. And I say all of that because she's my daughter too. I've used that line with my daughters so many times when they're like,
Mm.
Grace did this, Emma did this, and they did it yesterday. They went to the movie together. They're 18 and 21. They can pick each other apart. She's my daughter too. And it puts it back in perspective that we're not all the same. We don't all understand, but there's places in this world that we get to learn together, and it's doing it the kingdom way. And so that is the vision I have for the Soul Sister Project. I don't know exactly what that looks like on paper, but and that's how it started.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy how that happens. Yeah.
Because
Yep. And
actually,
that,
it was August 2020 when I was building the Soul Sister Project. Y'all, look at God. I didn't even know. Like, I didn't even put it two together. That's amazing. Sorry.
there it is. And it's such a good example today of what a reframe is, because I came in and just knew that we were going to talk about your Facebook group, but I didn't have an agenda or an idea or something that I was coaching you toward, or a strategy that I wanted to share with you or anything like that. It's simply, the reframe today is simply that you've known it all along, that you've had it all along, and that you can go back to your roots, that you can go back to the foundations of the vision, and yet know as well that what you can do now with that knowledge, with that vision,
Yeah.
is completely different from what you could have done then. So
It
again, there's
is.
no shame. There's no
Yeah.
shame in it not having already happened,
Right.
because he was preparing you all the way along. Since we've got a couple of minutes, I'm going to share a story to just really
Yeah.
solidify this. I think we've talked about shame every single day in this daily reframe. And so there was a story that was shared with me from someone in our church who has written a book, and we went through her book together. And
Yeah.
her book is about the Jonah story. And you
Okay.
have
Yeah.
Jonah, where he was told to go to Nineveh. He said, no, and went the other direction. Storm sent. He gets thrown into the sea because he's still going, no, don't turn around. Just dump me out so I don't have to
Yeah.
go, but you don't have to get hurt in the meantime. So he gets thrown overboard, swallowed by a fish, 3 days in the belly of this
Oh,
fish.
could you
And then
imagine?
he finally repents and is like, okay, God, I'll be on track with you. Gets spat out and goes to Nineveh, stinking like a fish. And something that I didn't know until someone gave me the historical context of Jonah, but Nineveh, like their main god was the fish god. And that was who they were obsessed with. And so the
That
fact
makes a
that
lot of sense.
Jonah stepped into town saying, I've got a message from God, smelling like a fish, with
And
this
just spit
story.
out a fish.
Yeah,
Like, could you
with this
imagine?
story put
Okay.
out. They're like, oh my gosh, a prophet has come from our fish god. We better
I
listen to
didn't
him.
know this. Yeah. Okay.
So, so with that historical context, it just adds so much depth of meaning, because then you start to go, wait a second. So Nineveh probably wouldn't have listened to him if he hadn't
Right.
have disobeyed, if he
Yeah.
hadn't have delayed. And so, it gets real messy when you start to think about it in human terms and black and white terms of, well, was he disobeying, or did God, free will and
But God
destination
also
and
knows us.
all of
He
this.
knows how we try to manipulate. And I mean, it's like,
Yeah. He
yeah.
knew that if he called Jonah, Jonah would take the
So,
detour path that would
yes.
actually be the most effective.
Yeah.
And the lady who wrote this book, who sat down with us and was going through it with us, shared a similar story in her own life, where she saw a woman outside of a store and was told, pray for that woman. And the woman
Mm.
was bent over, had a physical something going on, and so she was like, okay, I'll pray for her here in the truck. And She prays for her and prays for that physical, the thing that was on the outside that she could see. This happened 3 more times where she
Mm.
randomly ran into this woman. God said, "Go pray for her." And she's like, "Well, I don't want to like lay hands on her. I don't want to be weird. I don't know her." 3 more times this happened, and she keeps praying for her, but at a distance, doesn't talk. She finally gets out of her car the next time she sees her, walks up, and says, "Can I pray for you?" Assuming that she's going to share, "Oh, yes, this is my physical disability, whatever." And she goes, "Oh, yes, please. My daughter just," and she tells this whole story. And this woman specifically had the ability, because of her life experience, to speak into that exact instance and to pray into that exact instance that happened that day. God
Yeah.
knew that he had to tell her 4 or 5 times, "Go pray for that woman." So he started telling her 4 or 5 times before the moment needed to happen. And so
Yeah.
if we can continue to have that faith that, yes, we had all the information we needed, and
Yeah, we
yet
did.
we didn't.
Yeah. And
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 so
here's the thing too,
today.
I had all the information. If I'd continued to build, it would have been on my own strength. It would have been on like me just trying to fit something in there and like it becoming this obligation, this burden. And 5 years later, right? It's
Mhm,
become this joy and this journey and this knowing that this is where I'm called instead of trying to fit it into my life. And I did. I had a Jonah experience. I went from the Soul Sister Project building businesses online to ministry trying to like hide, and when he called me to personal branding, he called me to a face on Facebook, and I have done it everywhere but Facebook.
mhm,
I've built and closed down multiple TikTok things that get up to 10,000, and I'm just like, "No, that's not it." And I'll close it down when he tells me to, you know? No, it's Facebook, it's sisterhood, it's business, and it is out in the open. And I have done everything not to get there, and I'm telling you, walking through a ministry hurt like I did was some of the hardest things, and it hit me exactly where I am called, and it was sisterhood.
mhm,
And it's not the people in the ministry, it was that I was in the belly of the fish. Like I got thrown over and swallowed, and God met me there. I met God there. Like God was already in
yeah,
all of it. But
yeah,
I told you about the chair that I sat in when I was in that mental psychosis. Did I tell you about
mhm.
this?
I think
And
so.
yeah, so God like brought me into his intimate chambers, and in my most like when I was completely like in that psychosis, I would go to sleep in that chair most nights because I could
Mhm.
not shut that brain. It was that brain.
Yeah,
I couldn't shut off that brain of mine because it's been healed and restored, and it was, God. It was all God. And so going forward, Soul Sister Project, what becomes of it, Soul Sister Marketplace, both of them, is all
mhm,
God and just me walking it out. But yes, it is. It's funny, and but it's not. It's so biblical to have all of it right there, but to take the detour to get back around to it and see it in a whole different light. So thank you for that
mhm.
reframe.
Yes. So for our audience, for our listeners, if you are resonating, if you've stayed this long, there was something resonant here. And so these next couple of days, I have these spots open to sit down and have a similar conversation,
Yeah.
have that listening ear, have that reframe of what you already have, but isn't quite right. I think yesterday we used the analogy of flipping over the puzzle pieces. You've got
Yeah.
all the puzzle pieces, you've even got the puzzle box, but why do some look off? Well, maybe this one needs flipped over, and I can help you find that. Yeah, so take advantage of that. And we'll see you tomorrow right here, wherever you tune in. YouTube is actually the most reliable place. We're streaming to YouTube at Find Business Community. So if you want to join us at 8 o'clock tomorrow and don't want to deal with the Facebook algorithm trying to find the live stream, go to YouTube at Find Business Community and you'll be able to find us fast.
Absolutely. Bye, y'all.
Bye.